I want to make three things very clear. First, New Yorkers deserve better. Fair and equal access to city services is vital. Anyone who corrupts the system in an attempt to line their own pockets will be held accountable. Second, I want to emphasize that our fight against public corruption continues. We are determined to address it from root to branch, and our work is far from done. Third, if you are aware of and participated in corrupt activity in our government, now is the time to come forward and to get on the right side of the law.
Well, it looks like the federal investigators are starting to lay down the hammer, because basically a lot has been going on with these corruption probes of City Hall, the NYPD. Over the weekend, we saw Lisa Zornberg, who is the City Hall's lead lawyer, abruptly resign, giving no reason why. Early this morning, we've heard that the federal authorities have arrested 2 FDNY chiefs over corruption charges, bribery, that basically has been going on for quite some time. This is not a shocker to the situation, as this is one of the early stories that have started with this whole corruption charges and all that. Is it connected to the City Hall? Unknown. This press conference that happened earlier today, they did not want to mention if it connects in any way whatsoever, because the charges that were done to these FDNY chiefs are similar to what is some of the accusations under the Eric Adams administration. Instead of me explaining the situation, let's let the investigators themselves explain what is going on with this.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Damian Williams, and I'm the United States Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today, we are announcing public corruption charges against 2 former senior members of the New York City Fire Department. We have indicted Anthony Saccavino and Brian Cordasco, 2 former chiefs of the department's Bureau of Fire Prevention. As the indictment alleges, Saccavino and Cordasco, acting together with a co-conspirator, solicited and received at least $190,000 in bribes in exchange for giving special treatment to certain building owners and developers for at least 30 different projects around this city. The defendants allegedly abused their power to give priority access to the Bureau of Fire Prevention, or the BFP, the division that regulates the installation of fire safety systems in commercial and residential buildings throughout New York City. The BFP services are vital to protecting New York City businesses and residents from fire-related incidents. In many cases, the BFP's approvals are required before a building can be occupied or open to the public. Because of this, quick and reliable access to the BFP services is extremely valuable. And those services were supposed to be available on a first-come, first-served basis, even when it's slow, and even when there's a backlog. But that didn't happen here. As we allege, these defendants used their power as senior members of the FDNY to let some people cut to the front of the line. They allegedly created a VIP lane for faster service that could only be accessed with bribes. That's classic pay-to-play corruption, and it will not be tolerated by this office. The FDNY is the largest fire department in the United States, responsible for ensuring the safety of millions of New Yorkers from fire-related incidents. And the department is filled with some of the finest public servants in the country who honor their oath on a daily basis. As we allege in this indictment, these defendants were different. During the time period covered by the indictment, Saccavino and Cordasco were chiefs at the BFP and ultimately became the 2 top-ranking members of that bureau. They supervised the BFP personnel who conducted plan reviews and inspections. And as we allege, for nearly 2 years, the defendants abused their authority by engaging in a pay-to-play bribery scheme. Beginning in 2021, the defendants took advantage of a backlog at the BFP in approvals and inspections, a backlog that was caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. They saw an opportunity to put priority access to the BFP services up for sale. Let me say a little bit more about how the scheme worked. As we allege, Sacavino and Cordasco solicited and accepted bribes from a retired FDNY firefighter, a man named Henry Santiago Jr., who ran an unsanctioned expediting business. Acting in large part at the direction of Sacavino and Cordasco, Santiago promised customers that he could expedite or fast-track plan reviews and inspection dates with the BFP in exchange for payment. Now, how could he do that? Well, as we allege, by paying bribes to Sacavino and Cordasco, who would then help Santiago's clients skip to the front of the line. Once a customer retained and agreed to pay Santiago's company for fast-tracking, Santiago secretly coordinated with Sacavino and Cordasco, who in turn allegedly used their supervisory authority to direct BFP personnel to prioritize that customer's matters, even though the system, again, was supposed to be first come, first serve. After Santiago was paid by customers for fast-tracking, he would secretly give a cut to Sacavino and Cordasco to obtain preferential treatment by the BFP for his customers. The mechanics of the scheme are demonstrated over here. This chart shows the movement of bribe payments from Santiago's customers into the Santiago company. Those payments were then given secretly to Anthony Sacavino and Brian Cordasco, who then, as we allege, used their authority as chiefs at the BFP to push and expedite matters that were pending before the BFP. And that in turn created this fast track. Now, as part of this investigation and as alleged in the indictment, the defendants repeatedly lied to the FBI when they were interviewed about this bribery scheme. And as a result of those lies, the defendants are also charged with making false statements to federal agents. Now, I want to make three things very clear. First, New Yorkers deserve better. Fair and equal access to city services is vital. Anyone who corrupts the system in an attempt to line their own pockets will be held accountable. Second, I want to emphasize that our fight against public corruption continues. We are determined to address it from root to branch, and our work is far from done. Third, if you are aware of and participated in corrupt activity in our government, now is the time to come forward and to get on the right side of the law.
And you got to ask yourself, was the $200,000 worth it? Was it worth the bribery of your positions in the jobs that you have? And like they said at the press conference, this is not knocking on the rank and file of the FDNY. There are a lot of good people out there that does the job that they were hired to do, to protect the public. You know, they're firefighters that go way out of control. You know, and we knew this from 9/11. You know, the situations there, how many of them have died, how many of them are still dying from the cancers they received from the air when those buildings fell. You know, they worked the hardest. And for these two guys, Anthony Scaravano and Brian Cordasso, to tarnish the FDNY, it's shame on them. Now, the other gentleman, Santiago, has already pleaded guilty to this, so he is working with the office and the feds on there. And as it was said before, these two men will be also charged with lying to the FBI. That will be, I guess, handled separately from this arrest itself. I would assume we will be seeing a court appearance on there, possibly either later today or tomorrow, depending on the situation, on how this is. Will it be a perp walk? I hope so. It's a shame to the situation. And the questions that were asked were right on at the press conference. If this connects with the Turkey situation with Eric Adams, and you know, in the way an office like this would say, they didn't say much, but they said a lot. There's still investigating this, and it's going to continue on. We've already had, like I said, we've had the chief counsel to City Hall resign abruptly over the weekend. Eddie Caban, toward the end of the week, resigned as well, the New York NYPD police chief. He's been replaced by another gentleman from the Joint Terrorist Task Force, and someone outside the purview of the NYPD, someone who's been in federal law enforcement. And let's see what happens. Are we going to see a major shakeup coming to City Hall and the NYPD? Only time will tell. So comment on the lines below. Tell me your thoughts about this. Share this video, and also hit that subscribe button. We need those subscriptions on there on whatever social media platform you are on right now. We do really appreciate it. We thank you for those who have supported us on this channel. Thank you again. We will see you on the next video. Be sure to catch all of our other videos this week, as it pertains, most of them pertain to what is going on at City Hall and the NYPD. Until next time, thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.